Hello, and we are live. We have a very special guest today. She happened to be part of my team, and we're going to have a conversation of what she thinks is currently going on in the college food service industry marketplace. Hello and welcome. My name is Christian Fischer. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show, and I'm really excited to have a very special guest. I have Miss Julia Bennett from my team here. She hears us talk so much about college food service and everything we do around the culinary industry, and she was kind enough to kind of step in, and I will ask her some questions about college food service. With that, Julia, say hello to your listeners and tell us a little bit about you.
Hello. So my name is Julia, and I'm currently a junior. I go to Stonehill College, which is in Easton, Massachusetts. Um, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about the dining experience on campus and stuff like that.
So, Julia, how long have you been part of the team here? And just tell everybody what you do for us here for the Disruptive Chef.
Yeah, so I started working here last summer. Um, And basically, what I do is post a lot of the graphics that you see on like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Um, which is like I don't do all of that stuff myself either. We have another intern here who's great. Shout out Mackenzie and Devin, two other interns that are great, and I wouldn't be able to do a lot of stuff that I do without them. So grateful, but yeah, that's we do a lot of the brainstorming, all three of us, four of us, you included, Christian, for some of the marketing strategies that we do and programs that we want to promote. And yeah, and then my job is to just kind of post it on online and get it out to as many people as we can.
Awesome. Thank you, Julian. Thanks for being here. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the college food service piece in general. And there's a lot of companies doing amazing work. There's a lot of chefs putting in amazing creativity of making college food just really unique. And overall, in the college industry, I really believe that's where new food trends are born, because if you can get, as a brand, a college student hooked on your brand or your product, it's really easy to have them follow you for the rest of your life. So, Julia, talk to us a little bit how you consume college and especially college food. Do you live on campus? How often do you frequent the dining halls? Talk to us a little bit about your use of the food services.
Yeah, so um I go as I said, I go to Stonehill College and our current provider is Sodexo, and I go there mostly for dinner. Um we have other on-campus locations. Like we have another location called Gigi's, which is more like
Yeah.
a Chipotle style type meal, and I love going there as well. I go there for lunch most of the time. I don't really eat breakfast that much because I'm not really a morning person, so I'm waking up like 10 minutes before my class. But which is not that great of a habit, I know. But um, dinners are pretty good with Sodexo. They're not like nothing's gonna be like a homemade meal at like a college campus, but the dinners are okay. And I will say like I do love the brunch at my school. A lot of like my friends and a lot of students at Stonehill say the same thing, that like brunch is like a pretty surefire choice for food in terms of the quality and taste. Um, and most of the time, what I'm getting for dinner is either um, like a pasta and a salad. Um, if I don't like anything at the chef table, or I go to the deli and I get like a sandwich, kind of like I'm at Subway, but it's actually fresh instead of like at Subway. Um, no shade to Subway, but we all know, we know.
Can you talk to us a little bit? I know during the conversation you shared that you have a new dining provider. How was that transition for a student?
Yeah, so our contract with Sodexo is ending this year. So we were doing forums for three other potential candidates for our next provider, and they just announced the new provider, which is Bon Appetit.
Yep.
Um, and I'm excited to see what they have to offer. I did go to one of the other forums for a provider that wasn't picked, and it was just interesting to see like what goes into like that kind of presentation that they want to give for students and for like faculty and really
Mhm.
anyone who showed up to those forums. Like they want to sell their provider to their service to everybody. They want it to be appealing for everyone. So that presentation included renovations, how they would modify each station that we have, all of our on-campus locations, how they would change that. Um, and it was just interesting. They had me like hook, line, and sinker. Like I wanted them to pick that provider so bad. I'm sure Bon Appetit is going to be great, and I'm sure that they also had a great presentation and stuff. But um, I don't. Yeah, I I'm excited. We're gonna have the new provider for my senior year, so
Mhm.
we see how that goes, and I hope that they're I'm excited for something new.
No, that's awesome. And did you get to experience the presentation they gave?
I didn't get to go to the presentation of the provider that we picked, but
Okay.
our contenders were Sodexo was another contender, we knew their contract.
Mhm.
The one that I went to was AVI, um, and then we had Aramark, and then we also had Bon Appetit, and Bon Appetit is the one that we ended up picking.
That's awesome. So for people which didn't have the opportunity to be part of that, companies like that usually plan for this for months to get into it. They ship food. Did you also get to sample some food?
No, I don't actually, I think people who showed up really early to the
Yeah.
presentation, they got some free samples. I unfortunately didn't show up early enough, but, I could definitely tell that their presentation was practiced and, like, that they
Mhm.
really were passionate about their food and, like, their service, which, like, definitely goes a long way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I wish that I was able to make it to more forums and stuff, especially for the one that we ended up picking, but,
It
um
is amazing to watch and doing those presentation myself, for almost 20 years.
mhm,
Um, Companies spend upward of $100,000+ to do that single presentation.
mm,
They usually bring in people from all over the country. They usually there beforehand to scope out what's going on campus. How do students use the food services? What's going on? What are some of the hubs? It's quite amazing of how much work goes into, and then also creating a program which currently fits the current students. So that's really amazing. And you will be very happy. Bon Appetit does an amazing job out there. All of the companies are very good. So, how is overall the food at your college currently?
um, yeah, like I said, like, it's not ever gonna be the same as, like, a home cooked meal,
Mhm.
but it's pretty I think there's something for everybody, and we do have a Dunkin' as part of our, like, meal plan, so
Yeah.
that's awesome. Um, I would say it's okay, but I a lot of the students and myself would like it to be better,
Hmm.
just because it doesn't feel sometimes it doesn't feel like the healthiest going down. Sometimes I know a lot of people have like, one of my friends developed, like, IBS from, like, our food service and stuff
Yeah.
just because it wasn't agreeing with her system, and, yeah, so I know a lot of students have developed, like, eating disorders too, just because they feel like there isn't food, like, available for them that's good, that's quality and healthy for them. Um, so I'm not trying to bash Sodexo, but I'm excited for something new.
No, absolutely. And again, it's not easy. I always use the example if you have a family of four and you go for dinner, and four people have different expectations, different desire or different experiences. So
Mhm.
now do this if you have 4 or 5,000 people coming into
Yeah.
it. So it's quite difficult. So, for you personally, as you currently consume your dining services on campus, what are some of the personal problems you face using the dining services?
Yeah, so, as I, like, mentioned, like, feeling like there isn't food available for me, my freshman year, like, the first semester that I was on campus, I lost, like, a scary amount of weight just because I was, like, pretty underweight just because I didn't feel like there was an option available for me that was good, that was, like, satisfying. Um, so that was, like it was not, you know I didn't love being, like, that underweight and stuff, but since then, I've been able to, like, expand my horizons and, like, calm down a bit. Like, okay, the food is actually not so bad as I thought it was. And I have more options available to me. Like, I always have the salad bar, I always have the pasta bar. The deli is also very good. We have a really good bakery as well. I don't know how I like, skimmed over the bakery, but the bakery at Stonehill is quite good. They make
That's
everything in
awesome.
house and stuff. So at least I have that too. But
That's
yeah.
amazing. So you are an out of state student. So how do you balance, your desire to eat healthy, the whole nutrition piece, and also the affordability when it comes around eating on campus currently?
Yeah, it's tough when I have to like factor in gas and stuff to like get home and things like that, when I choose to. But the good news is that I think the meal plan at Stonehill is like pretty well suited for me. I know a lot of students like tend to run out, um, but we work on like a declining balance,
Hmm.
not like swipes and stuff, which I think is the right way to go. I think it's
Yep.
better. It's a little bit cheaper, which is also nice too compared to swipe systems. And I do a little bit of my own cooking as well, like well, cooking. I I make ramen, I make like pasta and like when I don't feel like having something at the dining hall, at least I know that I can have something made
Hmm.
by myself, and, that's pretty reliable, and then, I have leftovers from that, so that sustains me for a little bit. So, I think I'm able to balance, like, spending my own money and investment towards, like, my own cooking and, eating on campus.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. So how do you then balance the whole cultural background around foods to make the right choices? And how does this work for you on campus right now?
Yeah, I would say, like, the diversity in our food is not that wide, and that's something that I would love to see, like, in the new with the new provider, like, a more broad, more diverse menu. Um, yeah, I would say right now the menu is pretty there are, like they offer some dishes, like, at the chef's
Hmm.
table where things change and rotate.
Yep.
They offer some, like some Asian cuisine and stuff like that, and, like, it's okay, but it's not great. So I usually my default is usually, like, Italian or,
Hmm.
like, the Chipotle style kind of food, which yeah, if we had more options, more, like, quality options, I would totally expand my horizon and stuff outside
Yeah.
of that.
I know you and I talk a lot about from an outsider perspective or from an outsider view. What do you think of the whole food service provider world now, knowing what you know now, being part of our team here for almost a year?
Yeah, I mean, I really never thought about it that much, before working here. I was able to learn, like, how complex it is and how much really goes into, like, being a food service provider. Um, it's a lot of work, and I, like, commend the people that are, like, passionate about food enough to provide it and to put in that hard work because, yeah, it definitely doesn't seem easy. It's definitely not something I'd be able to do.
Yeah, I'm curious to know a little bit more about you and your group of friends. How do some of the common, challenges your student group faces when it comes around different dining options around campus?
Yeah, I would say it's, like, similar to stuff I've mentioned before where, like, some students, some of my friends have, like, dietary restrictions,
Yep.
so that limits a lot of their options. Like, my friend that I mentioned earlier who has IBS, she can't eat, like, a lot of fried stuff, so that eliminates, like, one of our entire, like, dining options because we have an option called the Hill, and that's all
Hmm.
fried food. It's all, like, meat and stuff, so she can't eat that.
Yeah.
I would say people who have dietary restrictions, they definitely have to they definitely have to work a little bit harder with the dietitian and stuff to find options on campus. Um, but overall, like, I think most of my friends would say, like, there's always, like, something that we can try
Yeah.
there's always something available, but, something I would love to see in the new provider is, like, better hours
Yep.
because once it turns past, like, 7 o'clock on my campus, there's only that one option, the Hill, open.
Hmm.
Um, and, like, if you're my friend who can't eat there, then you're out of luck after 7 o'clock, so you need your own food.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, yeah, I would say availability and, like, hours is like also an issue because if you
And
especially if you have a night class, oh my god, then
mhm.
like you really gotta work hard to make sure you get something.
Yeah, and I think that's a challenge for all of the campuses, not just um, you know, the different choices. Overall
Mhm,
dining options after hours is difficult, and I believe as a industry they need to change because there should be 24-hour dining options because each student's lifestyle is so different. It would be
mhm,
great if there's a little bit more, not just thought, but innovation put into late night options and then 24-hour options.
mhm. Yeah, like, I would love if there was, like, just, like, a grab and go option that was, like, always
Mhm.
open, um, because, like, our late night dining option
Yeah.
is the Hill, and that's supposed to, like, mitigate that problem, but like you said, like, students have different lifestyles. Some students really do operate better at night, and they get a lot of their work done at night, like, late at night and stuff, which, like, I'm kind of in that boat. I do work a little bit better at night, so it'd be nice if I had more than one option.
I don't understand. So, what motivated you, doing something totally different for a career, to come and pursue an internship around culinary and the things what we do, even though it's not something you want to do as a career long term?
Yeah, so my major at Stonehill is biology, and I have a minor in Spanish. But I wanted to do this internship because I've always had like an affinity for technology. I've always been pretty good at it. I'm pretty much the go-to person with like my parents and stuff for tech issues and things like that. I'm always happy to help. But so I really was just interested in like learning how social media works and how like a branding works, how marketing works. Um, because I've always been interested in doing something like on the side, like of my like actual job. I've always been interested in doing something like podcasting or like being some kind of influencer.
Mhm.
So it's this internship has helped me in that respect, and just learning to be more media literate, and then learning about the culinary industry and learning about food and stuff is just a really nice like side effect of it. Um,
Love that.
yeah, so I would say that.
It's been amazing having you here. And I'm curious to know what are some unexpected insights or lessons you have gained around, the culinary industry as a whole since you started your internship here with us?
I think the number one thing that like surprised me, I guess, is like how applicable and like transferable a lot of your advice and a lot of your like takeaways from the podcast episodes and stuff have been. Like the importance of networking, the importance of like a growth mindset, the importance of not feeling stuck and like prioritizing yourself as well. All those things apply no matter what industry you're in. So I think I just wasn't expecting so much like advice that like I could use myself. I expected it to be a lot of like culinary jargon that I like wouldn't relate to, wouldn't understand, wouldn't even maybe not be interested in. But I it's complete opposite.
So that's really a good segue into how did your internship here influence your experience around the culinary world, around food and dining?
Yeah, it's like exposed me to just a lot of like new information and stuff because like I don't consider myself a chef or a cook like by any means. I don't know that much about like food like prowess or like knowledge like that. But um I've enjoyed listening to like the episodes with like your guests and stuff and all of the just the world that they live in.
It's
Um so it's given me like a new appreciation for like when I go to restaurants and stuff and for when I like dine on campus. Um yeah, it's just given me a newfound like perspective, I guess.
That's awesome. So unfortunately, part of your responsibilities are here is you watching some of the episodes over and over again just to find some nuggets of some really cool things we can share. So you see them all the time. So now doing it as long as you do, if there is a student coming up to you and asking you about your opinion around college dining, so having the experience what you had here, what is some word of wisdom or word of advice you would give a college student around your newfound perspective of college dining?
Um Well, I this is interesting. This is an interesting question because I am a tour guide on campus.
Hmm.
So I do have to like sell my school to like prospective students. And I do have like, we go to the dining hall and stuff and we have to talk about the food. And I always say there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I try not to be like negative at all about it because there is I do really believe that there's something for everybody, that you can find something you like and something that fits your needs. So I would say, you know, it's easy to complain about like dining and stuff and like the food service provided. It's easy to say like, oh, it tastes so bad. But really, if you take the time to search for something, like you can find it.
Hmm.
And at the very least, like if you don't like the options, you can cook yourself. You can buy that. We have like a Target like really close by. We have Shaw's and stuff. Like there are ways around. Like if you don't want to eat on campus, you can get like a reduced meal plan and not have to worry about paying so much for it if you're not going to use it and stuff. Like so, I would say, try not to be so downcast on the dining experience.
That's awesome. So now let's pivot a little bit. If you or if there's somebody flipping through YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok and comes across this clip, what advice would you have for a chef which hasn't heard about what we do and what you do? What advice would you have to a current person in the culinary industry?
Oh wow, I would say, um, I would say to keep innovating, keep creating. You don't have to be stuck in like the mold that like you think you're stuck in. You can
Hmm.
always do something different. You can always expand your horizons, whether that be like an entrepreneurial
Yeah,
perspective or just like if you work in a restaurant, say like you can always change the menu, or if you, I don't know, like you always have flexibility even if you think you don't. I think
yeah.
you can always expand your horizons.
So how about if another person flips who is trying to break out of what they do and they want to become an entrepreneur? What advice would you have to somebody flipping through, coming across this video, meeting you, um, if they are in a shoe of wanting to be a entrepreneur for a very long time, but didn't have the courage to make that pivot?
I would say to check out some of our programs. Check out the ebook.
Hmm.
I would also say, um, don't be don't be afraid of change, or like don't be afraid of like the unknown. It's part of life, and it's part of when you shouldn't let that hold you back from doing something different.
That's
From just reaching for a new idea that you've always had. You shouldn't let fear like be your number one constraint. There's gonna be like instability and like unknown factors in everything that you do. So don't let that be the reason you don't go for something.
That's awesome. That's really good advice. And if you found this conversation interesting with Julia, a student perspective around tining, please like this video if you see it on YouTube, Facebook, or on TikTok. Please share it with your friends, somebody who can benefit around learning a little bit more about food and what we do. So, Julia, you've been amazing here as our intern. You have worked for us globally. You were overseas and you work with us and you've been over sticking with us. So we really appreciate everything you do. And if somebody is looking for an internship job, what advice would you give somebody who wants to try something like you do currently?
I would just say go for it. Like don't be afraid, even if it's not related to like what you think you want to do in life. Like just do something different because it's fun to try new things. Especially while like if you're like in college, if you're my age, like you only have so long where you have like this experimental phase that you can just do like different things. So go for something new as long as it's not like, like brain surgeon. Like go for something that you want to try out because why not?
Yeah, that's really good. So tell our listener a little bit more. What do you want to do? What lights Julia up? What do you want to do with your career? Where do you want to take this whole thing? Because you fairly close with finishing out your school year.
Oh my god, that's so scary. But I'm interested in like the field of genetics and like doing research. I don't really know like what that looks like completely,
Mm,
but my ideal like first job would be somewhere probably in Connecticut so I could live at home for a couple of years and working in a lab doing research on like either like genetic counseling or like diseases or doing research like on like ecology or like organismal genetics. I did research last summer on campus, and we were looking at butterflies, and we did a lot of cool stuff with that, and I enjoyed it. And I'm just trying to get as much experience as I can with like being in a lab, seeing what I like and what I don't like, and um, yeah, kind of going from there. But as I mentioned, I have a Spanish minor, and I would love to utilize that as well.
mm,
So maybe down the line, that looks like working in like a Spanish speaking location, working up in like Spain, working somewhere. That's like as you mentioned, I was overseas last semester. I studied abroad in Spain, and it was a wonderful experience. It was awesome that I was able to work virtually, which is why
mhm.
it's so nice to be in this like flexible environment here at this research group. But yeah, I would love to do something that utilizes my Spanish so I don't lose it and so I can put it to use.
Awesome. Julia, you've been amazing having here. It's always good having you both here in the office, but it's also even better having you on video. So, to our listeners, if you enjoyed what Julia have to say, please check out Julia. Where can people follow you on social media?
um Oh man, I have an Instagram which is it's jben16. I have a TikTok. Don't worry about that. I have that's it. Follow me on LinkedIn if you're an employer. You know, give me. I'm looking for an internship this summer as a science one in addition to this one. Um, yeah.
That's awesome. So, if you found value in today's conversation, make sure you like this episode. Give us a shout out. We read every single comment. It's important to us to provide value to our listeners. And if you haven't done so, join our private group, which is the Disruptive Chef Club, which is our private community, which gets a front row seat of all the cool things we do. They get the latest and greatest. We test drive some new programming with them. It's a really amazing group of individuals which want to not just grow their career, but have an bigger impact in their business and in their communities. So, with that, I want to say thank you, Julia. Thanks for being here. Thanks to our listeners. Remember, until next time, just disrupt the kitchen, fire up your career, stay hungry for change. I'm Christian, your disruptive chef entrepreneur host. I'm signing off, and a big shout out to Julia. Thanks for doing this. So, if you're in the culinary industry or not, be the change, be the challenge, and be the chef who sets the world on fire. Until the next episode. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.